You know, destiny in sports is a weird thing. When Reggie Jackson first started showing major prominence in A's uniform, late 60s, early 70s, we knew big things were going to be ahead of him. And of course, 5 World Series rings in the 1970s, 3 with the A's and 2 with the Yankees. When Emmitt Smith was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys in the Herschel Walker trade, we knew big things were going to come, and eventually led to 3 Super Bowls. Now in hockey, when Wayne Gretzky showed up in the WHA, first with the Racers, then with the Oilers in 78-79, we knew big things were going to be happening. He made it to the AFCO Cup final that year in 79, but by 1980 season, we knew that if Edmonton could straighten out his supporting parts, they were going to win a Stanley Cup. Didn't do it in 83, although some of the supporting parts were starting to arrive. But 84, a lot of people felt if Edmonton was going to do it, this was the year, because the Eastern Conference, or the east side of the NHL, really only had one dominant team, the New York Islanders, who won 4 straight cups. And ironically, the Montreal Canadiens went on a huge late season run, including playoffs, and almost knocked off the Islanders in the semifinals, league semifinals, after winning the first 2 games but lost 4 straight. So it was Edmonton and the Islanders in the final. So before I give away what's pretty well obvious, the Edmonton Oilers 83-84 season was their 5th campaign in the NHL. They had the top regular season record in the league. They were first in the Smythe, first in the Campbell, first overall with a record of 57-18-5, 31-5-4 at home, 26-13-1 on the road, with 446 goals for, which averages out almost this 6 or 7 goals a game. Goals against, kind of rough, 314, who were tied for 10th. So in the games Edmonton played, we watched 760 goals enter the net between the 2 teams. Now, again, he set a club record in wins and points, and he broke the NHL record for goals of the season, set by the Oilers the previous years, again with 446. Now, the Oilers got off to a typical strong start, winning 39 of their first 53 games. The great Wayne Gretzky started strong too, scoring a point or more in the first 51 games, which was getting a lot of play by the media states because of Joe DiMaggio streak. Now, after failing to score in his 52nd, he missed 6 straight games along with his line mate, Yari Coury. After winning their first game without Gretzky and Curry, the Oilers lost 5 in a row, including an 11-0 loss to all people, the Hartford Whalers, on Sunday, February 12, 1984. It was called the Valentine's Day Week Deception. Now, it was the first time in 230 consecutive regular season games that the Oilers were shut out. The last time Edmonton had been shut out was on Thursday, March 12, 81, when he lost to the Islanders 5-0 at home. But after a stern lecture from Coach Lynn Sather and the return of Gretzky and Curry, the Oilers won 8 in a row and finished the season, again, first overall. Now, Gretzky broke the 200-point barrier for the second time in his career, as he won the Art Ross Trophy for the 4th straight campaign with 205 points. He scored an NHL high 87 goals and added 118 assists, while Paul Coffey on the defense was very offensive, put up 126 points, the second highest point total ever by a defenseman, while Curry with 113 points and Messier 101 each broke the 100-point mark for the club. Now, Glenn Anderson had a solid season, getting 54 goals, behind only Gretzky, and just missed the 100-point club as he finished with 99. Now, Grant Fuhrer led the club with 30 victories, while Andy Moog put up a team-best goals against average of 3.77. Now, in every month, they got 9 or more wins. There were 9-2-1 in October, undefeated at home. In November, undefeated at home, 5-1-1 with a 10-2-2 record. December, 9-3-1, 5-1-1 on the road. January, 10-2-1, 4-1-1 at home. February, 9-6, 6-1 at home. And March, 10-3, 7-2 at home. Now, in the playoffs, the Oilers would make short work of the Winnipeg Jets, sweeping them in a 3-game best-of-5 series, and they would face their Battle Alberta rivals, the Calgary Flames, for the Smythe Division crown. The Flames would push the Oilers to 7 games before Edmonton would defeat them for the 2nd straight year. The Oilers then went on to sweep the former Stanley Cup finalists, the Minnesota North Stars, in the Campbell final, setting up a Stanley Cup rematch against the Islanders. Now, the Islanders, who swept the Oilers the previous year, were looking to win their 5th straight Stanley Cup. Edmonton, of course, had other plans, and after teams split the first 2 games in New York, the Oilers would win 3 in a row to win the series in 5 games and take their first Stanley Cup, being the first team from the WHA to win the title. And Mark Messier won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoff MVP. Now, what's really bizarre, ladies and gentlemen, the big victory for Edmonton, of course, in the final was a 1-0 shutout against the Islanders in Game 1, with fewer getting the decision. He lost 6-1 at home, but Gretzky was on a roll against Billy Smith, who really had no answer for Edmonton that year. He lost 7-2 and 7-2 in Games 3 and 4. Now, Game 5, the Islanders were down quite early. Pat LaFontaine scored 2 key goals in the early third period to put the Islanders back into it, but an empty netter solved it for Edmonton. Now, they swept Minnesota, 7 games with Calgary, and they were up 3-1 before Edmonton won. Edmonton lost 2 straight. 1 goal, 5-4 decisions in Edmonton and then in Calgary. Second game was in overtime. And of course against Winnipeg, 9-2, 5-4, and 4-1. Now, regular season, great stats here, ladies and gentlemen. Gretzky, 87 and 118, 205. Coffey, 40, 86, 126. Curry, in only 64 games, bear with us, 52, 61, 113. Messier, 37, 64, 101. And Anderson, 54, 45, 99. Now in the playoffs, Messier won the Conn Smythe, but Gretzky had another outstanding year, 35 points in 19 games, including 13 goals. Curry had 14 goals, 14 assists for 28 points in 19 games. Messier had 26 points, including 8 goals in 19 games. Coffey, 8, 14, 22. And Anderson, 6, 11, 17. Now, goaltending in the playoffs, fewer went 11 and 4, while Moog was 4-0. Now again, it was an NHL record for most goals in a single season, which was broke to 424 the year before. He also had an NHL record for most shorthanded goals in a season by a player, Wayne Gretzky. He broke it with 12. Now, various milestones were that season. Don Jackson, Dave Hunter hit the penalty minute level, 200, 400 respectively. Willie Lindstrom had his 200 NHL point and his 300 NHL game. Messier had his 300 NHL point. Yaroslav Pozar skated his 100 NHL game. Semenko passed the 600 penalty minute to mark. Gretzky had his 19th hat trick and his 5th 4-goal NHL game on November 6th. Then Gretzky the next week scored his 20th NHL hat trick. Curry eventually scored his 300 NHL point. Lumley had his 2nd NHL Gordie-Howe hat trick. And Gretzky later scored his 21st hat trick. And overall, Gretzky just breaking records left to right. He passed at one point the 500 point mark, 500 assist mark, the 800 NHL mark, the 6th 4-goal NHL game of his career, and by the end of the season, again, it was just tremendous. Wayne Gretzky ended the year with 900 points, or past 900 points, with his 28th NHL hat trick, which was also his 8th 4-goal NHL game. So again, the big part, I think, what happened with Edmonton, they dumped a lot of secondary players, and they picked up Kevin McClellan, Rick Chartrand, Larry Melnick, and Risto Salo as well. So a whole bunch of tough fights. But some of the key free agents this year was Tommy Rowe, Pat Conacher, Tom Gorence, Reggie Kerr, and Kari Jolinen. And of course, that year was a good draft. They picked up Buku Boom and Tikkanen in the top 4 selections. Now, full roster that year, they had Grandview and Moog in net, with Fogle and Lowe, Playfair, Dean Clark, Rick Chartrand, Paul Coffey, Randy Gregg, Charlie Huddy, John Bloom, and Don Jackson on defense. The wingers include Reg Kerr, Glenn Anderson, Yaroslav Pozar, Mark Messier, Dave Hunter, Pat Hughes, Yuri Curry, Ken Berry, Willie Lindstrom, Dave Lumley, Ramo Subinin, Todd Struby, Tom Gorence, Dave Semenko, and on the center line, Kerry Yolinen, Steve Graves, Ken Linsman, Ray Cote, Pat Conacher, Mark Abscheid, Tom Rolson, Kevin McLeod, and of course, Wayne Gretzky with Glenn Sader being GM and coach. So probably, not say the perfect Edmonton Oilers team, but pretty friggin' close to it. Because you look on defense, you had Fogelin, Lowe, Coffey, Gregg, Huddy, and technically Rick Chartrow's number 6. And on the wing, again, Anderson, Messier, Hunter, Pat Hughes, Curry, Lindstrom, Lumley, and Dave Semenko. And of course, center, you had Kenny Limsman, Pat Conacher, Tommy Rolson, Kevin McClellan, and Wayne Gretzky. I would not say Edmonton was weak on center, but they were much better on the wing. Because other than Gretzky and Ken Linsman, there wasn't much at the center line. But again, Pat Conacher skated miles that year, and Kevin McClellan, very underrated player. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the latest on our season profiles. The Edmonton Oilers of 83-84, their first Stanley Cup. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, the first is always the best, unless you do it 4 out of 5, or 5 in a row, or 4 straight. Thanks for listening, and keep your stick in the ice. Bye.